Welcome to World News Tonight. The race to find a killer. 8 dead, 4 crime scenes, 1 family targeted. The 911 calls just coming in.
You think they're both dead? I think they're both dead.
Tonight, the manhunt and the mystery that has a community on edge. The latest on the investigation into Prince's sudden death. What those who saw him in his final days are saying now. And are there hidden hits in his archives? Trump 2.0, don't count on it. He's now promising he won't change his brash ways. Crucial primaries just days away. Could this finally clinch it for Trump and Clinton? And a firefighter who took her own life, but now a tragic twist. Did cyberbullying contribute to her death? And it's a simple gadget, but it's cutting crime. How you can scare off an intruder at your door, even if you're not home.
This is ABC World News Tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Cecilia Vega. We begin with that breaking news from Ohio. A $25,000 reward in the hunt for the killer or killers who targeted a family and then got away. 8 people shot execution style at 4 different locations in a rural part of the state, most of them while they slept. And for the first time tonight, we are seeing the faces of some of those victims. Now, an urgent warning from police. The killer is armed, dangerous, and still at large. ABC's Alex Perez leads us off tonight with the latest on the investigation and the mysterious motive.
Tonight, a desperate search for a motive in the slayings of 8 family members, leaving a community on edge. Friends and other loved ones kept in the town church for their own safety while questioned by police. The family pastor says they are all in disbelief.
If we try to put ourselves in their place, they're broken, they're angry, they're grieving, and it's just hard to explain.
The harrowing calls to police just released tonight.
It looks like they're dead. You think they're both dead? I think they're both dead.
And also tonight, our first look at some of the victims, all members of the Roden family, discovered Friday near the small rural town of Peebles, Ohio. The youngest, 16 years old. The massacre spread across 4 separate crime scenes. The victims all shot in cold blood, execution style.
Never have I ever imagined such devastation to a family, to a county.
3 small children, including 2 infants, spared. Investigators now scrambling to find the killer or killers, but so far, no luck.
There is a threat there, and I believe that threat to be armed and dangerous.
And Cecilia, there is now a $25,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. Tonight, the family pleading for prayers and for anyone with information to call police. Cecilia?
Alex Perez on the growing manhunt. Thank you. But we do now move on to new clues in the mysterious death of a pop icon from the people who saw him in his final days. This new video surfacing of his last performance, just Prince right there alone on that stage in Atlanta. Well, tonight, the sorrow and the celebration. Fans outside Prince's home and inside a private memorial for friends and family. ABC's Eva Pilgrim outside Minneapolis for us tonight.
Tonight, as friends and family celebrate Prince's life, his publicist confirms to the Associated Press his remains have been cremated, all as the intense probe into Prince's mysterious death continues. Investigators now planning to speak to those closest to the superstar to understand the weeks, days, and hours leading up to his death.
I can tell you that we are going to leave no stone unturned with this and make sure that that the public knows what happened.
The sheriff saying the full investigation, including results of the toxicology test, will take weeks, but confirmed there were no signs of trauma and suicide is not suspected. The first signs of any problems came about 2 weeks ago when he canceled a pair of shows in Atlanta. But then a week later, he returned to perform. Tonight, new video of that final public performance and his words about his recent illness.
Once again, I'd like to apologize for the cancellation. I was a little under the weather.
Shauna Michaels was in that crowd.
I felt an energy that he was really like going through a moment and feeling something.
On his way home to Minneapolis, though, Prince's plane made an emergency landing in Moline, Illinois. Prince checked into a local hospital for 3 hours.
The reps for Prince told us it was because of the flu. That never made sense to us, because with the flu, you tough it out for 48 minutes so you can get home.
His death coming as a shock to those in this community. Heather Hoffmeister saw him riding his bike on Monday.
He looked healthy. The wind was blowing through his hair. He was just like freely biking.
Family and close friends held a private memorial today for Prince inside his Paisley Park home. Afterwards, they came out and gave these purple boxes filled with memorabilia to fans waiting outside. Cecilia?
A growing sea of purple tonight. Eva, thank you. And there is another mystery about Prince. Did he leave behind a treasure trove of unpublished music? If so, who's now in charge, and will the world ever get to hear it? ABC's Dan Harris on that part of the story.
Tonight, the world is waiting to learn the fate of one of the most valuable music estates on Earth. Prince leaves behind no wife, no children, and his last will and testament, so far, a mystery.
Thank you for loving him, y'all. And he loved each and every one of you.
The woman with the purple hair is Prince's sister, Tyka, who could be the next in line to inherit the singer's fortune. His estate estimated at $300 million, and its value soaring by the day. Little Red Corvette now topping the charts yet again, and his greatest hits album #1 on Billboard. But the biggest unknown is what is reported to be a secret vault of songs that Prince left behind.
We could put out more work in a month than most people could do in a year or more.
Susan Rogers, a former recording engineer for Prince back in the 80s, describes it as a giant room filled with private sonic treasures, all sealed behind a door locked with a large spinning wheel. Prince himself rarely discussed the so-called vault, but did tell ABC's The View that he believed one way or the other the material would eventually become public.
One day, someone will release them. I don't know that I'll get to release them.
What did his music mean to you?
Everything. Power. A lot. He was just such a good artist and a motivator and really inspiring.
Setting aside the question of who might profit from this as yet unheard trove of Prince music, one group that would unquestionably benefit, his fans. Dan Harris, ABC News, Chanhassen, Minnesota.
We do want to turn now to the race for the White House, a final weekend push before primaries in 5 key states. Donald Trump sounding very much like his old self today. That's just days after a top aide said the candidate would start to sound more presidential, and Ted Cruz turning the table, saying Trump is the one who's lying. ABC's Mary Bruce in Connecticut now, one of the next battlegrounds.
Tonight, Donald Trump 2.0 sounds a lot like Donald Trump.
Lying Ted Cruz, right? Don't forget with the Bible, right? He walks in, Bible held high. Then he puts the Bible down and then he lies. He's a liar.
This less than 48 hours after his new campaign chief was recorded telling Republican officials Trump will tone things down and that his over-the-top rhetoric is just an act.
He gets it. And the part he's been playing is evolving into the part that now you've been expecting, but he wasn't ready for it. The negatives will come down. The image is going to change.
But Trump clearly isn't on board.
I sort of don't like toning it down, you know.
The frontrunner says his bombastic style works.
If I acted presidential, I guarantee you that this morning I wouldn't be here. Here I have to rant and rave. I have to keep you people going. Otherwise, you're going to fall asleep on me, right?
In Connecticut, voters have mixed feelings.
He just seems very authentic. I think the whole political thing brought this out of him. It was just always there.
I do like what he stands for, but I don't like the way he's been saying it.
You're looking for a cleaned up Trump?
I'm looking for, yes, one with a little bit of finesse, a little class.
But rival Ted Cruz says it's all one big show.
Donald Trump is the master illusionist. He is the Harry Houdini. Engaged in an act of misdirection, Trump is a phony.
And with those next big contests ahead on Tuesday, including right here in Connecticut, Donald Trump is preparing for what looks to be another night of big wins. Cecilia.
Okay, Mary, thank you. And it is a busy weekend for the Democrats, too. Hillary Clinton campaigning in Connecticut, walking a very careful line, battling Bernie Sanders while trying not to alienate his supporters. So could this be the contest that finally locks up the nomination for her? ABC's David Wright with the Clinton campaign tonight.
Tonight, Hillary Clinton is fighting hard for a clean sweep of the Eastern Seaboard.
Tuesday's a big day. 5 states are voting. And I need your help.
Hoping Tuesday's primaries will finally close the door on her rival, Bernie Sanders.
Well, that's not going to happen. I am in this race to the end.
Today, Sanders held a rally in Baltimore.
And on Tuesday, the people of Maryland can say it is time for a political revolution.
The question is, will they? In Maryland, the polls show Clinton ahead by double digits. She's already looking past Sanders.
I'd go stronger, too.
Tonight, unveiling a new web ad hitting Donald Trump for his extreme makeover.
I will be so presidential, you will be so bored.
One of my personal heroines, Maya Angelou, said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Tonight at events like this one here in Rhode Island, we're hearing a slightly different tone from Clinton, now saving her harshest attacks for the Republicans, not for Bernie Sanders. She knows she has to win over his voters. Cecilia?
She sure does. David, thank you. And Hillary Clinton may be getting support from a surprising person, Charles Koch, the conservative billionaire businessman. The exclusive interview with our John Carl, part of a discussion on recent presidents.
Am I hearing you correctly? You think Bill Clinton was a better president than George W.
Well,
Bush?
in some ways. In other ways, I mean, he wasn't an exemplar.
Yeah.
But as far as the growth of government, the increase in spending, it was 2.5 times under Bush that it was under Clinton.
So is it possible another Clinton could be better than another Republican
It's
the next
possible.
time around?
It's possible.
You couldn't see yourself supporting Hillary Clinton, could you?
Well, we would have to believe her actions would be quite different than her rhetoric. Let me put it that way.
And there will be much more of that interview tomorrow morning on This Week. Now to President Obama's very busy farewell tour in London, celebrating Shakespeare, getting in a little golf, and rolling up his sleeves for a town hall meeting with young people. Tomorrow, he turns to the serious topic of terrorism. ABC's Terry Moran is traveling with the president tonight.
400 years to the day since Shakespeare died, and there was President Obama taking in a bit of Hamlet at the famous Globe Theater.
Speak the speech, I pray you.
Another stop on what has become a wistful farewell visit by this late-term president to America's closest ally. And it's produced this instantly iconic moment, the president and little Prince George, the future king, eye to eye, when the Obamas came for cocktails and dinner with the young royals at Kensington Palace last night. Today, the president was still buzzing about it.
Nothing was going to stop me from wishing happy birthday to Her Majesty. And meeting George, who was adorable.
At a town hall with young people, one person coming out in public, telling the president they don't fit into any gender category.
I'm getting emotional, I'm so sorry.
I'm incredibly proud of the steps it sounds like you've already taken.
Next up, the agenda shifts dramatically. The president will be joining a meeting of European leaders here in Germany on the threat of terrorism, a threat that's escalating sharply in every country across this continent. Cecilia?
Terry, thank you. We want to turn next to the troubling death of a Virginia firefighter. She was missing for several days, then found dead, a suicide, in the prime of her life. Tonight, new questions about the bullying she may have faced. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez on the new details.
Tonight, a troubling new twist in the case of a Virginia firefighter who police say committed suicide. Investigators now concerned she may have been the victim of cyberbullying. Police found Nicole Mittendorf's body in the Shenandoah National Park Thursday, and inside her nearby car, what they say is a suicide note. The end to her family's emotional, week-long search after she disappeared.
Sweetheart, I love you. I am praying for you.
I'm not sure where you are, but know we are all looking for you.
Authorities won't say what was in the suicide note, but are now investigating posts written about the 31-year-old on a local website. Anonymous users hurling insults about Mittendorf, calling her a slut and ugly, and making similar comments about other women in the Fairfax County Fire Department. Investigators won't say whether Mittendorf ever saw the website, but the fire chief, acknowledging the posts, writes in a statement, "I assure you that my department cannot and will not tolerate bullying of any kind. We will thoroughly investigate this matter and take any appropriate actions needed." And we reached out to the administrator of that website but didn't hear back, and Mittendorf's family declined to comment. Cecilia?
Okay, Marcy, thank you. Still ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. Imagine hearing your doorbell and seeing this outside your front door. New technology to scare off intruders, human or otherwise. And remember this face-to-face encounter between the judge and the prisoner?
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry to see you.
Tonight's surprising development in that real-life courtroom drama.
ABC World News Tonight.
Now to keeping your home safe, a high-tech gadget is having high-yield results when it comes to catching criminals. Here's ABC's Lauren Lister.
The new weapon in home security.
Hello? Hello? Can I help you?
A doorbell camera ringing right to your phone, fooling would-be burglars into thinking you're home.
We're not interested.
The tool catching potential thieves on camera from Nevada to California to Tennessee, where investigators say this man rang first before breaking in. Authorities reportedly using the tape to track him down and charge him with burglary. In Los Angeles, police revealing a 6-month pilot program using the tool helped reduce burglaries in one neighborhood by more than 50%. Robbie O'Donnell lives there.
I can see, without exposing myself to the person I'm speaking to, what's going on my front porch. If I hear a noise, I don't have to sit there and guess.
Here's how it works. The camera's activated when I ring the bell, but also just by motion around the front door. It sends an alert to the user's phone, who can see their guest and talk. Hey, Robbie.
Hello, Lauren.
The device, one of several on the market, catching all sorts of unwanted visitors. Lauren Lister, ABC News, Los Angeles.
There's still more ahead coming up on World News Tonight. That fatal tiger attack on a zookeeper. Did she break zoo rules before it happened? Plus, we could all use a little weekend zen, but hanging 10 monks that surf. Need we say more? We'll be right back. There are new details coming in tonight about that tragic mauling at a Florida zoo. The zookeeper, known as the Tiger Whisperer, violently killed earlier this month. Tonight, the Palm Beach Zoo says she violated policy by entering a restricted area in the tiger enclosure. The investigation still continuing tonight. And could it be a Harriet hint? Preparations are in full swing now for putting hero abolitionist Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. But which close-up will end up on the note? The Treasury Secretary was seen overlooking this portrait. No word yet on whether this is the one that will make the final cut. The word for these monks that you're about to see, Zen. Check these guys out. Monks surfing during a retreat at Bondi Beach in Australia. Pretty peaceful, even after a wipeout. And I suppose we can all use a little weekend Zen. I certainly will take it. When we come back, approaching the bench, the judge and the prisoner who knew each other as kids come face to face. But what happens when they meet again? Finally tonight, when coincidence approaches the bench, it went viral. The chance reunion between a judge and a prisoner who remembered each other from years ago. But tonight, there's a new chapter. Here's ABC's John Donvan.
A tale of two encounters, the first one captured on a courtroom camera. The judge, her name is Mindy Glazer. Before her, Arthur Booth, charged with burglary. Suddenly, she has a glimmer of recognition. You see that smile? And then she asks,
"Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?"
Oh my goodness.
Yep, they were kids together here at Miami Beach's Nautilus Middle School. Two kids in school photos who both showed promise. But then Arthur's life went wrong.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir.
Oh my goodness.
And now here both those kids were grown up and in court.
This is the nicest kid in middle school.
Oh my goodness.
drug addiction, a life in and out of prison. It all seemed to hit him at once, the path his life had taken. The video was watched millions of times since then, which was back in June. But now we'll see if this video also catches on, because the other day, Booth was released from jail. His family was there, and so was Judge Glazer. And at this, their second encounter, she had a message for him.
You got to take care of your family, try and get a job, stay clean. You're going to do something good for somebody else. That's what you got to do.
Call it a pledge to do better for old time's sake. John Donvan, ABC News, Washington.
A great pledge indeed. GMA and This Week in the Morning. We will see you right back here tomorrow night. I'm Cecilia Vega. Have a wonderful Saturday. Good night.